Hi everyone, and welcome to the 1226 Surpass Pre-Release webinar. Hope you're all doing well. So just to kick us off, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ashleigh Whittle. I'm the training manager here at BTL, and I'm joined by my colleague here today.
Hi, my name's Kat and I'm a product trainer here at BTL.
So there have been lots of improvements and new features in this release of 1226, but our job is to take you through the highlights of those. So the agenda of what we're going to follow is this new HTML item type, the select from a list one. We have a new media file type. We also have end of test feedback to talk about, some improvements that have been made to the test administration screens, and finally some maximum limits that have been expanded that I would like to talk with you about as well. So to kick us off with, Kat, what is this new item type?
So this is the select from a list question and it's part of the Flash to HTML conversion. So I'll do a demonstration to show you how you can set up this item type and how it'll look for candidates in delivery. To create a select from a list item type, go to Item Authoring, Create New Item, and choose Select from a List. You can add instruction text into the box to tell your candidates how to answer this item type. You can then add your text and lists in box number 2. To add a new list, select Create List, and then add your options to the boxes below. Choose the correct answer option by ticking the box. You can add more text and lists, and you can also create a list by highlighting your text and clicking Create List. You can add more answer options by clicking the Add Answer Option button. And then you can remove these using the cross. You can decide to only award the mark if a candidate selects all correct options, and you can also order your answer options alphabetically. In delivery, this is what the select from a list question looks like. The candidate will see the text with the blank lists. They can then click on each list and choose their answer options. Once they've filled in all of the lists on that question, it will be marked as complete. You can also use this item type to get candidates to respond to a series of statements, like this true or false question. Candidates can leave the answer blank by selecting the blank box here.
Okay, so that was really useful to see in delivery. So thanks for demoing us that, Kat. But I'm wondering, how does marking work for this item type?
So it is a computer marked question, so you shouldn't need to come in and do anything manually, but you can override that if you'd like to make it a human marked question, or you can override the computer marks at a later date.
Okay, so that's how marking works. But what about reporting? Can you get reporting stats for this item?
Yeah, definitely. It's quite similar to other item types. So you'll get things like the average time spent on this question and the average marks that have been awarded.
Oh, great. So it sounds like this item works end to end across Surpass, which is great. Is there any more news about other item types in item authoring?
Yeah, so you might have noticed this custom question type, and there's been a lot of work done on this at the moment, which is really exciting. And Essentially, you'll be able to upload packages that give you more advanced question types. For example, there's a graphing question that allows candidates to plot points on a graph, draw lines, things like that. But it's all still being worked on at the moment, so we'll keep you updated and let you know when that's ready.
Great.
So while we're talking about item authoring, is there any other new functionality in this part of Surpass?
Yes, let's talk about that new media file type now. So we have a new media file type available in Surpass. It's the SVG file type, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphic File. It's perfect for Surpass users who have images in their tests. So to show you what that looks like, I've prepared a demonstration. So yeah, let's have a look at that now. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate the new SVG media file type feature. So I'm showing you the media library, and you can see there are already some examples in here of SVG images, just so I could practice adding them before this demonstration. But I'm going to show you how easy it is to import media, specifically SVG file types, into the media library. So you just select import to open up your desktop files. Let's see, if I go to here, you just select the file you want and press open. You'll get a progress percentage, and then you'll see that listed in your media library. Now if I just hold Control and select, at the bottom we've got media options, just like other file types. So you can replace what you've just imported, you can duplicate the file, you can download it to your own machine, or you can delete or edit the alt text. So all the same options as you would expect. Okay, so now I've shown you how to import into the media library. I'm now going to show you options for item authoring. So here's an item I created before. You can add SVG file type images as source material and as media, so both ways works. If I open the cog at step 1, I can add source material here. This will take me to the media library, and if you've forgotten to do the step I showed you first, then this is another opportunity for you to add media to the media library from your own desktop. I'm going to select this one for this question, and you get a little preview of the image here. So I'm going to select add. As you can see, that image is now added as source material. I can change the name here, and because this will be a clickable button for the candidate, it might be helpful to maybe change the name here to something that is understandable by the candidate. So I might say rocket image, so they know to click here to open it up. This won't change the name in the media library, it's just the name of the label here. What I can also do is select this. I find this really useful. If I open inside view, then I can look at the source material while I'm authoring the question, which for a question related to the source material is very useful. So let me just hide that now. Another media option with item authoring is adding media at step 3 here. Now the difference between media and source material is that any images added here will be embedded within the question on the page with the question text and answer options. Like I said earlier, source material is a clickable function, and yeah, the candidate will have to open that image in a pop-up. So let me try and add an image here. I'll add the same one. Again, you get a little preview. Press add media. Now, once you've added media, you get some layout options. And if I leave it at auto, then Surpass will select the best layout based on the size of the media. If I had multiple images, SVG types or otherwise, then you can't change the layout because it will automatically scale and place the media based on the sizes of the images altogether. But as there's just one, I do get all of the layout options, as you can see here. I'm just going to leave it as auto for now. Now if I select this expand, you're able to view the image. Now it's just loading and perfecting, there we go. And I can move around to span over the file while I'm authoring the item. So similarly to looking at the source material side by side, it might be useful to preview the media in this way. So those are the media options for item authoring. Now it's probably a good idea to show you what that looks like in delivery. And I've got a test here to demonstrate that. So this is the item we were just looking at. I scheduled it previously, and you can see the embedded image is here and the source material is here. Now earlier on when I created the test, I didn't change the source material name, so that's why it's still the name given to the image in the media library. But if I were to hold control and use the mouse wheel to zoom in, or I could use the zoom in the browser window, you can see it's easier to read the question and the image persists with the quality as far as I zoom in. So I'm at 400% now. Let's catch up. And the image remains high quality. So let me just go back. I'm just going to press reset to do it quicker. Another thing I'd like to show you is the source material and how that responds to zooming in. So if I select here, it's automatically docked because of the resolution of my screen, but I do get the option to unpin. For candidates who have screens of a lower resolution, they'll be presented with source material like this in a window that they can drag and move around so they can view the question text behind. But in the same way, I'm just going to hold in control and use the mouse wheel to zoom in. So that's just zooming in now, and you can see even as it zooms in, the image, the quality of the image has stayed intact.
Great, thanks Ashleigh. That looked really impressive in delivery. So can you explain why this file type has been added into Surpass?
Yeah, sure. So some of our clients utilise an external media library rather than Surpass's own integrated media storage facility. And one particular client needed the SVG file type to be allowed in Surpass within their tests. So what we did was we allowed this file type to be available to all users, even those who use our integrated media library.
That makes sense. So what are the benefits of using this file type over other things like a JPEG, for example?
Yeah, I can see why you'd ask that, because that's definitely a more popular file type. But I guess accessibility, if you are thinking about the candidate experience, and some candidates will zoom in on a test in order to read the text more easily, whether in the stem or the answer options. So if they're zooming in and you have an image which is of poor quality, then that will just keep degrading the quality as you zoom. Whereas this file type is a good file type to consider, this SVG file type, because if you're bothered about the quality of your images and that candidate experience, then you can zoom in and that quality will stay the same.
Wonderful. So in the demo, you showed us the SVG file type in web delivery, but does this work in secure client as well?
Yes, both source material and the embedded media act the same. And Secure Client has zoom functionality available with keyboard shortcuts, so you can still zoom in on the test and the images will still scale perfectly.
Great.
While we're in the realm of test delivery, Kat, can you tell us a bit more about this end of test feedback feature?
Yep, absolutely. So this is another part of the Flash to HTML project. So you can now show test feedback in HTML tests. Again, I'll show you a demonstration with the different options, how you can set that up, and how that will be displayed in candidate delivery. Test feedback can be configured at a test form level within test creation. Go to the Test Form Details tab and select your settings on the right-hand panel. First, I'll demonstrate what the candidate will see when the Summary Feedback option is selected. When the candidate has finished their test, they'll be able to see a summary of the questions that they have answered. They will see the percentage and their result, and then they'll see a summary by question. They can see how many marks were awarded for each question, and the key at the bottom tells them whether this was correct, incorrect, or a partial mark. However, they will not be able to click on any of these questions to review the answers. In the next example, I'm going to select Summary Feedback and Review Answers. When a candidate finishes their test, they'll now be able to click on each of the questions in the test to review them. This will look very similar, as they will see their percentage and their result and each of the questions below. But this time they'll be able to click on the question and see which answer option they selected, as well as whether or not this was correct or incorrect. If they chose the incorrect answer, they will not see which was the correct answer for that question. Any unattempted questions will show a blank line as shown in the key. The last example will have a human marked item in the test. I'll also show you what it looks like when the Show Candidate Details option is selected. If there is a human marked question, like an essay question, this will not be able to be marked instantly. You can see here the candidate details at the top. The candidate will see that their test will be marked and the results will be made available to them, and the result will show pending. They'll still have a summary by question, so they can see how they did in each of the computer marked questions and click on these to review them. For any human marked questions, they will display the I icon, and the candidates will be able to click on this to review their answer, but they won't be able to edit anything.
Thanks for that, Kat. I can imagine that feature being really useful for those who deliver HTML tests. I've got a couple of questions though. Why is this beneficial for candidates?
So the candidates get instant results, and that means that they don't have to wait for the results to be shared with them. Especially for formative tests, it can be really beneficial to get that feedback straight away whilst the test is still fresh in their heads.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. It would be better to get that feedback straight away. What about our Surpass users then? What problem is this solving for awarding organisations?
So there's a few things here. First of all, it's helping to move away from Flash-based tests as more and more functionality is available for HTML tests. And it can be really useful, as I've said before, for more kind of formative learning type of tests, because candidates can get that feedback and use that to prepare for their final assessment. And finally, it can save time afterwards. So rather than a Surpass user having to manually generate a results report and send that over to the candidate, candidates will just see that automatically as soon as they finish their test.
Yeah, and for computer mark tests, that could save a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely.
Can we expect any more developments in this area?
Yep, so in an upcoming release, you'll be able to break down these results by individual learning outcomes, and you can also give candidates the option to print that summary for reference if they want to use it later on.
Yeah, that'll be useful.
Okay, so which feature are you going to take us through next, Ashleigh?
Okay, so next we're going to talk about the usability feature in test administration screens. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you the demonstration and then we can talk more about it then.
Cool.
So I'm going to show you the new usability feature in the HTML test administration screens. Some of the features I'm going to walk you through actually existed before 12.26, but I thought while we're in this area, we might as well have a refresher of all of those usability features, including the new one. It's also worth bearing in mind that I'm using a demo instance here, so any content you see in here is just related to staff internally at BTL. Okay, so the first few things I wanted to talk you through was the filtering options in this screen. So there are only a few entries in this schedule screen, but if you had loads and loads and loads, these filtering options could be useful. You could select the filter icon and scroll through your centres and select one, or you can use this search bar to quickly find your centre by name. You can do the same for the subject as well. To search for other tests in the screen, you can search by test name, candidate name and reference using this text entry search bar. So you could click into here and start typing, or if you hover over this little magnifying glass icon, you can change this just so it contains, and then it will show you results based on what the name contains. So if I were just to search test, it should bring me back all of these, as they all have some containing test in there. And to remove that, I can just select reset. Other ones, like the date of birth, again you can hover over and either put in the exact date of birth or a range. What might be easier is to use this calendar tool, and you can flick through the months with these arrows, or you can zoom right back until the year and pick your dates this way. So you might have a candidate born on this particular date that you're searching for. We're having in this example, so I'm just going to reset that. It works very similarly for start time and end time. So if you want to search for a scheduled test based on the start or end time, you select here, then you can enter the time, and the clock face is just to show you kind of what time it is that you're setting, just so you can be sure of that. Other sorting available, if I were to select this row just with the left click, it will automatically apply an alphabetized sorting in ascending and descending order. And if I want to get rid of that, I could just right click the header and select clear sorting. Some people aren't aware that the right click shows you other options, so that you can either apply the sort ascending or descending this way, or just click with the left hand click that way as well. So let me just clear that again. The next thing you might not be aware of is the scroll bar. So we try to show as many columns as we can, but you might have to scroll along and view some others at the end. So scroll bar is available. Now, because there are so many columns, you might want to search for candidates or schedule test based on one of these columns every time, and that's where this new 12.26 feature comes into play. So what you can do, if I wanted to find a candidate based on their reference, I could right click and select fix. I've got two options. I can either fix to the left or right. Now I prefer the left, so I'm going to select this option. You can see now it is to the left. Now I'm going to use the scroll bar just to show you that that persists. It's like a frozen pane, and some of these references have been cut off, so I'm just going to expand that. And that still fixes if I scroll across. You can see that there. Now that's one part of the feature, fixing the column to the left or right. Another part of the feature is that this functionality persists even as you move around and through and away from the system. So if I go now to the next HTML screen, the Invigilate screen, I'll be able to show you the feature again there. So we've got candidate reference all the way over here. I'm just going to right click and say fix to the left. Okay, now that has expanded I think enough so I can see all of the candidate references, and I'm just going to show you that if I scroll that's frozen again. It just makes it easy to see perhaps a candidate entire row as you're moving from left to right. Okay, I'm going to move to the next HTML test admin screen. This feature has been affected for, so I'm going to jump to the results screen and show you the same thing again. So I'm going to fix the candidate reference to the left. I'm just going to resize it slightly and show you that the freezing works. Okay, so now I'm just going to jump back to the schedule screen. And as you can see, the candidate reference is still fixed to the left. It's still resized to view all of the data, and I can scroll and that list persists. Next part of this test, I'm just going to log out and log back in. And go back to the test administration screen to all of the three subpages. And as expected, the candidate reference column is still there in all of the screens. I'll just show you the other two now as well. And that's still there. And for the results screen as well.
Great, thanks for taking us through those usability features. And I really like how users can personalize their view of those test administration screens. I think that's really cool. So can you give me a bit of background on why this feature was developed?
Yeah, of course. At BTL, we really care about the user, and this feature is all about it's all about the user experience. So it's based on feedback from some of our Surpass end users, and we appreciate the fact that a lot of our Surpass community base is made up of centre administrators who use these screens quite a lot. So we just want to try and make their jobs a bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. So how can customers give us feedback if there's things that they'd like to see in Surpass?
Good question. So if it's to do about the HTML test admin screens that we've just seen, that feedback survey link is still live. There's a button on that screen where you can send some feedback. We also have a dedicated user research team at BTL who are always working away. They're really invested in user research and finding out how Surpass users are putting the product to the test, and are interested in hearing other viewpoints about that. We also have our Innovations Hub, which nominates Surpass champions can access to vote on ideas that might be posted on there. And of course, our account managers, get in touch with those guys, and they'd be more than happy to receive any feedback that you have.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we're about halfway through now. So before we go over the last couple of features, we'll do a pause for questions. So if you have got any questions, do let us know. We have had one come in whilst we've been demonstrating the features about character limits for the select for a list item. This isn't something I know off the top of my head, but we'll definitely be able to ask the people who developed this question type and let you know at a later date.
I'd like to know the answer to that question as well. Just while we're hanging about for people to post questions, we've got a question for you as well. So if you're a Surpass user and are thinking about these features, we'd really love to hear how you might make use of these features. So if you've got questions about these features, then of course let us know, but we'd also like to hear if you have any comments or thoughts about how you might use these features.
So it looks like we don't have any more questions at the moment, but we will be having more time at the end for questions and answers. So if you do have any questions, let us know.
Wonderful. Okay, Kat, so back to you then. Tell us all about the improvements to workflow statuses.
So we've increased the limit to 20 workflow statuses. So I'll demonstrate where you can set these up and how you can use these in Surpass. To edit your workflow statuses, go to Site Settings and then Workflow Status. You can see the default statuses as well as any existing custom workflow statuses. To add a new one, click the plus button and enter a name. You can then save your changes, and this will allow you to apply this status to your items. To change the status of your item, click the status drop down and choose from the statuses that you have available. Within item authoring, you can filter for items at a particular workflow status. For example, I can filter for items at the to review status, and this will save me time when trying to find the items that I would like to work on. Additionally, you can set up your user accounts to have restricted workflow access levels. Within site settings, you can control the level of access for each individual workflow status. For example, a user with this role can only edit items at the draft or to review status, and they have no access to live items.
Thanks for demoing that for us, Kat. It's really useful to see the areas which these features might affect. So why did we increase this limit?
So workflow statuses can be a really good way of streamlining your item authoring process. Sometimes the default processes just don't fit with how you categorize your items, especially now that many of us are working from home and collaborating virtually. This allows you to keep up to date with the progress of an item a little bit more easily.
That's so true. I bet a lot of our Surpass users are working virtually these days, just like us. Can anyone create a workflow status?
No, so it has to be someone with site level access, and that means that a user who has that higher level of permission can add the workflow statuses that match your process, and then item authors just have to choose from that predefined list.
Okay, so you've touched on greater controls there. How do workflow statuses work with roles and permissions in Surpass?
So because you can define the level of access for each individual workflow status, it allows you to have a lot of control over what users can do in item authoring. And you can split that even further into items the user has created and items created by others as well.
See.
So on this theme, has there been any other limits that have been expanded in this release of Surpass?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. We've also increased the tag group limit for subjects as well in Surpass to 150. So in turn, this also increases the number of tags you can have in a subject for your items. So I'd like to show you another demonstration of how tag groups work to help us understand this feature a little better. So I'm going to show you about this new feature for tag groups in 1226. In 1226, we've increased the number of tag groups permitted within an instance of Surpass to 150, which is a lot. So that is the feature. We've increased the number, but I'm going to show you and demonstrate some areas of Surpass where that increased limit will affect you as a user. So the first place I'm showing you is this setup area in the subject screen, and I've selected a subject. It's bottom right hand side here. This is where you can manage your tag groups for that subject. I've got 3 tag groups already: learning outcomes, units and keywords, and these are the tag groups that you get by default with every new instance of Surpass. And I can edit these by selecting the pencil. That will open up and let me add tag values here. So those are default tag groups, but of course you can add 147 more than this. And to do that, you just select here, create tag group. The only section that is mandatory is this name. You've got to give your tag group a name. So for this example, I'm just going to call it test form code. There are some tag level settings here which determine how item authors can interact with these tags. There are also some other settings up here, and I'll talk more about text and numeric in a second. Once you've got your group name, you can add tag values below like this. So you just work on one tag at a time and keep adding here. So let me just create this tag group. I'll be adding values in a moment. I'm going to add another tag group just to show you the different kinds of groups you can create. So the tag group I just created, the test form code, was a text version, so I could enter letters into those tag values. This next group I'm going to call p-value, which will allow authors to add the difficulty rating for that item, an item authoring, as a tag. However, p-values aren't in a kind of text form, they're in numerical form. So for this example, I'm going to select numeric, and it's totally changed the way this dialog works. I now have to pick what type of value I would like the authors to insert. I'm going to make this a range, and I'm going to allow decimal places because that's what they need to use, and I'm going to allow authors to use a range between 0.1 to 0.9. So in this way, I'm creating a numerical tag group where the item author is able to enter a number between 0.1 and 0.9 as a numerical tag. So let me just create this tag group here. So we're really starting to build up our tag groups here, and it's just a case of selecting this and adding to this tag group section. Now, I haven't got any values in as such. To add values, I just need to press the pencil and type them in. However, if you have rather a lot of tag values, one easier way to do this work is by importing tags. So to do that, you just select here and then upload an XLS file to quickly import all of your tag values against these tag groups. You just select this download sample XLS. That will give you the spreadsheet format you need to fill in. I selected that earlier, so it looks something like this. When you open it for the first time, it should take you to Help and Guidelines worksheet. So there are 2 worksheets to this spreadsheet, and this just gives you some information to say that basically you need to add the tag group name into the column title, and then all of the values can be listed below. You need to do that work in this item list worksheet. This is what is used to import into Surpass. So as you can see here, we have the 3 default tag groups, and you can enter your tag values below like these examples have shown. In fact, I've got an example spreadsheet to show you. So we've got the 3 tag groups here. I haven't entered any under the keywords, but I have entered some under learning outcomes and units. I've also entered some into an extra column as we've just created another tag group called test form code. So I'm just going to save that and then jump back to Surpass and browse just so I can show you how this import functionality works. Okay, so that's been successful. If it hadn't been successful, I would be able to view the report and do some troubleshooting to fix the spreadsheet, but it is quite simple. You just need to list the values beneath each column header. And now we can see that within the brackets it's showing us the number of values in each group. The last thing I'm going to show you in this screen is what kind of item bank analysis you can do using these tags. I'm just going to jump to this subject to show you a good example. So this subject has two tags, English Grade 2, English Grade 3, and in this orange kind of oval shape, it's counting up the total number of items with which are tagged by this value. Now, this is what I'm talking about, the start of item bank analysis. If I was working at an organisation which delivered English papers in these two grades, and I needed at least 20 items within each grade in order to build a test form, I would be able to come into here and say, okay, there are only 5 items so far tagged with each of these values. So there's another 15 of each items that need to be created. So that's one way in how tag values can be helpful to start off that item bank analysis process.
Great, thanks for taking us through the setup of tags. So can you tell me why we've increased the limit on tag groups?
Yeah, so as I touched on the video, it will help users expand their item management processes, as tags allow you to add metadata to an item. Therefore, expanding the tag group limit will allow for greater categorization. And it can also improve your test creation process. So if you use tag groups to create your test forms, you'll be able to follow a process similarly to I'm showing you now in this screenshot, where you can build a test form based on a custom subdomain tag group and bring items into that form which have that associated metadata.
Cool. And is there any other areas of Surpass that this will affect?
Yeah, so reporting is also really useful to as an area in Surpass when you've got your tag set up. You can export data on items delivered with that tag data included, which helps users who manage their item analysis either within Surpass or externally.
Great. And if you've added more tag groups in your subject, how can users then add those tags to items quickly?
Good question. So one way I would do it would probably be to use the bulk update tool. This will help you manage your tag values and groups and items all at the same time. If you wanted to just update for one tag group at a time, you could use this wizard, select the tag option, and then add or remove the tags to those items. Or if you wanted to handle multiple tag groups all at the same time, you could do that using the spreadsheet option below. So just to put this into an example, if I wanted to run a pilot test and gather reporting data on how those items are field tested, what I could do is search for those items in the item search screen based on their creation date. I could use bulk update to add that creation data as a tag. And then I could use that tag as a search criteria for building a test in the test form screen. And then once that test has been delivered, I could pull off that reporting data, again, using that same tag. So you can see how that's kind of going full loop there. Or if you didn't want to use bulk update, you could also use the spreadsheet import functionality available. So that's helpful, especially if you're creating items at the same time as managing your tags. You can do it all in the spreadsheet.
Great, thanks for that. So that's all the features we are demonstrating for today, but you can find the full list of changes on the Surpass change log. We've just put the link to that there for you. So that details the changes that are coming up in Surpass. So make sure to have that bookmarked. So we're coming to the end of the hour now, and I don't believe we have any more questions, but we'll be around in AirMe if you do have any questions you'd like to ask us.
Okay, so just so everyone's aware, this has been recorded and it will be on the website. So check out surpass.com for all of your Surpass community news.
And just to say that 1227 is in development at the moment, and there's lots of exciting things coming then. So we'll be doing another webinar for that when the time comes. And we'll be around on AirMe now. So if you do have any questions, we'll catch you there. Great. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
The technology and services behind Surpass power the testing of many of the world's highest profile qualifications. Unique technology enables collaborative item authoring in banking, comprehensive test assembly, secure test delivery, and efficient grading and feedback of high-stakes paper, tablet, and computer-based testing, including automated one-click reporting solutions to assist you with item analysis. We can provide access to SME management services and trusted psychometricians, and our test delivery services team can help you get started with online proctoring or finding remote test centers. Or, if you prefer, the advanced integration options and raw data extraction options in Surpass give you the freedom to choose your own external service providers. Trusted by international test publishers, certification, and awarding bodies, the Surpass Platform is a globally hosted SaaS service with integration at its core. It is used to deliver millions of secure examinations every year in over 100 countries. In addition to a full range of standard question types, Surpass item authoring includes many innovative features which expand your testing capabilities, such as the spreadsheet question type, diagram creator tool, and the award-winning high-fidelity image viewer. When you use Surpass, you do so as part of a community of like-minded organizations. We constantly reinvest in the development of the Surpass platform with guidance and collaboration from Surpass community members. So, what else sets us apart from the competition? We provide multi-device delivery support from one platform. This is essential for making the most of the many testing scenarios and opportunities in this global market. We stand by our customers by providing excellent service and support, and above all, we are committed to continuously developing innovative features, helping the Surpass community lead the industry. We're confident that with Surpass powering your assessment, we can improve the examination experience for everyone. Get in touch with a member of the team today and discover how your assessment program could be powered by Surpass.